Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one I'm going to be talking about a new set called Paradise Dragona that was trademarked for the Pokemon TCG. Now it is likely this is going to be a TCG set releasing in Japan, and it is listed under the trademark of other sets that have been named in the past, so it is pretty safe to assume that they intend to do a set about dragons in the future, which is super interesting because it means it's likely going to be headlined by some really cool Pokemon. So this set will obviously feature Dragon-type Pokemon, not to mention it's currently the Year of the Dragon, which I didn't know personally, but hey-ho. Perhaps it will be headlined by Hydrapple EX, who saw its pre-evolution Diplin introduced in Crimson Haze. So if you want to know what Diplin does, it kind of makes sense that Diplin was kind of bad then, because the Diplin from that set for 2 energy does 70 damage, and then you can switch it with one of your benched, and it does nothing else. So yeah, I think it's safe to assume that they kind of released Diplin to acknowledge its presence in Crimson Haze, but to basically just say, yeah, save this card for later if you pull it, because it's probably going to be a good Hydrapple. So Hydrapple EX. We'll talk more about Hydrapple in a second. But it could also feature Archaludon. I don't know how to pronounce that. Archaludon EX, who was introduced as a new Steel Dragon evolution of Duraludon in the Indigo Disc. And it is also worth mentioning, just before we talk about these guys, is that currently the only other future sets we know about are Night Wanderer, releasing on June 8th, featuring the Loyal 3 as Pokemon EX, and Stellar Miracle, releasing on July 19th, featuring Terrapagos EX and a new Stellar Terra type. And then there's a couple of new Stellar decks releasing over in July as well. August, sorry. So, what we can take away from this is that Night Wanderer will feature the Loyal 3 as EX. Well, we have seen I hate these names. Okidogi, Munkidori, and Pheasantipity as single prize Pokemon for the set The Teal Mask, which I think this video will release about a week after I record it. But basically, the Teal Mask is being revealed in full, I think, tomorrow? Question mark? I think it might be tomorrow, or it might be next Friday. I'm not sure, actually. But either way, the Teal Mask will feature the single prize versions of these. So we'll get those cards in Twilight Masquerade. But the set after Twilight Masquerade, which hasn't been named in English because it's just way too far off, that will be our Worlds set. So typically when the World Championships takes place, we sometimes, not always, get a new set, I believe. I think it's always been like that, but yeah. We get a new set when the World Championships takes place, so they play in a format that's slightly different to the one we get online and such, but yeah. That set, we don't know what it's called yet, but it will feature Stellar Miracle and Night Wanderer. So Terrapagos EX and the new Stellar Terra type. How will this new Stellar Terra type affect these guys and the Dragon set? I have no idea, but I think it's safe to assume we'll probably get at least 1 or 2 Dragon cards that are Stellar, basically. So my guess is we'll see Stellar Garchomp, potentially, or Stellar Rayquaza, because typically, and as someone has pointed out, behave baby, wake, baby, messed up already, baby, wake up, new Evolving Skies is dropping. So yeah, basically, Evolving Skies is kind of like the Rayquaza flagship of the generation, and we had that one in Sword and Shield, and then we had Celestial Storm in Sun and Moon. So I think it's safe to say we'll probably see a Rayquaza EX in the set. Now, what's interesting about that, in my opinion, is they've kind of already reprinted Rayquaza in the form of Raging Bolt, down to the fact that its first attack is also very similar, and is also a Dragon type. So I'm kind of curious as to what they would actually do with a Rayquaza EX. As the point of, will we get a Rayquaza EX? Absolutely. Like 100% we're getting one. It had a Mega, it had a GX, it had a V-Star. Well, it didn't have a V-Star, but it had a V-Max and a V. So honestly, I think the chances of us getting Rayquaza are basically guaranteed. We could even see the evolutions in this set as well, but I think they might want to save them for like next year or something. But yeah, we could see the evolutions. But as for Hydrapple, that's interesting because Hydrapple is a stage 2. So if they give us a stage 2 Dragon type as like the main chase card of the set, or, this stage 1 EX, which is, Duraludon be a basic, and then Archaludon. Names, I know. Archaludon would be the stage 1 EX, so they could give us some pretty cool chase cards here. But, a stage 2 dragon type needing 2 different basic energy, they would have to print some pretty good dragon support. Now, someone in the comments did also suggest that they could reprint double dragon energy as an A spec. I think that's a really cool idea. They might do that. I really don't think they'll bring back double dragon energy as just a special energy. I think that would be maybe a wee bit too much for the game and, make me question what they were thinking. But either way, a double dragon energy in the form of an A spec would be cool. And this is a dragon set, so I'd expect there to be at least 1 or 2 trainer cards, at the very least, that support dragon Pokemon. But either way, this is very interesting because Hydrapple is a cool Pokemon, has some cool abilities in the main games, so I'm kind of interested to see what they do with this. Also interested to see, what they would do with a Rayquaza as well. That'd be cool. But yeah, I'm kind of more interested right now in Stellar Miracle, which I'm not sure when we'll get the first reveals for these guys. I guess we'll get Night Wanderer reveals way before then. So June 8th. So it's usually a week before the set releases, we get the full set reveal. So what's that going to be? The last week of May? Question mark? Yeah, last week of May. So April, May. I mean, technically, we could start to see reveals for Night Wanderer at the end of the month, potentially. Yeah, I think that's possible, right? Yeah. Either the end of this month or next month. I should really know this stuff by now because I've been doing these kind of videos forever, but, should really pay attention more, but I guess. But yeah, Night Wanderer, we should start to see reveals for this set soon enough. And we'll see, the EXs for that set and see if it's any good, really, because Twilight Masquerade currently, even though these cards won't be a part of Twilight Masquerade currently as a set doesn't look to be too broken. It's not like adding masses to the game. It's still adding a lot of fun decks, but I don't think it's adding anything excruciatingly broken, which is a good thing in my opinion. But yeah, have to see how good these EX cards end up being, and of course what they do with this, the whole Stellar Terra type. Now, Terrapagos, when it Stellar evolves, it becomes like a new version of Terra type. It becomes like a Stellar version of that Terra type. I know that's like a clue in the title, but Stellar Terra type isn't just another version of Terra type. It's kind of like the evolved version. So I'm super curious as to see what they do with that. I'm guessing that means we'll get Terrapagos. If I had to guess, we'll get Terrapagos as a normal single prize basic. Then we'll get Terrapagos EX as a stage 1. And then Stellar Terra type will be like the stage 2 / evolved form. It could be like Pokemon Break, actually. I never thought about that. Hang on a minute. Yeah, it could be like Pokemon Break, because it would get HP and a new ability or attack, while not strictly becoming like a stage 2, because that wouldn't make a lot of sense. So yeah, that's actually something to bear in mind. Maybe it will be like Pokemon Break. That's cool. So for those of you who didn't actually play in the XY era, probably shouldn't assume these things. Pokemon Break, what they essentially were, is they were a bit of a weird card because they were kind of like half a Pokemon. They only had one attack or an ability, but they gave your new Pokemon more HP, essentially. And I think they didn't change the typing. They remained the same typing always. But they basically just served as a HP boost, and you got access to a new fun ability or attack. And the best one, I'm pretty sure, was just Greninja Break. Like, flat out, was Greninja Break. Yeah, very powerful card. And that was essentially a stage 3 at the time, and it still saw play because the format was cool back then. But yeah. So yeah, I honestly think that's worth considering, actually. Maybe Stellar Terra type are going to play like Pokemon Break, and they'll, have cool abilities. But yeah, for those of you who want to know what Terrapagos does in the games, I'm pretty sure one of its main attacks is kind of similar to attacks we've seen before translated into the games, into the TCG rather, that do like more damage for each different basic energy attached to it. So I'm kind of curious as to how they implement this. But yeah, it's been like a general video, I guess, just talking about upcoming sets. But it's interesting. I know we've just had Temporal Forces and all the rest of it and stuff, but from a player who really enjoys just building and theory crafting and coming up with new rogue decks and things, this kind of stuff is just fascinating to me because it's like, oh, we could potentially get a really good stage 2 dragon type, or, all of these Pokemon seem really cool as well. So hopefully the cards will be cool, all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, let me know what you think down below, because otherwise I'm going to pan this video out way longer than it should be. But yeah, let me know what you think. And of course, as soon as we get reveals for these cards, I'll start covering them. So yeah, thank you for watching.